Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Mike D'Ambrosio, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. This is Mike D'Ambrosio with Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Talking anything and everything real estate, as we always do on Real Estate Radio Live. Got a great show in store for you today. One of our show veterans is on, Scott Poncetta with Keller Williams Los Gatos, investment property specialist, residential real estate, all that stuff. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great today, Mike. Thanks for having me again.
Of course. Scott, always a wealth of information. We got a ton of stuff to get to today. The shifting market a little bit, interest rates, 1031 exchanges for primary residence, granny units, net leases, all sorts of stuff. So we're going to get into it in just a minute. Just a reminder for those of you guys just tuning in, always a couple different ways you can listen to our show. That is on the radio at KDOW 1220 AM. Or you can go online to reradiolive.com, or you can find us on three different apps, the KDOW app, the iHeartRadio app, or the RE Radio Live app. And you can download all of our shows on podcast, that is on iTunes. And on that note, sadly to say we will, and I know Joe had mentioned this on the show last week, but we are going to be discontinuing the live shows on November 9th. But the exciting news is that we are going to be continuing with our podcast. So you'll be able to listen to all of our real estate podcasts, Real Estate Radio Live, through our podcasts, and we're still going to have great guests, stronger content, and better ways to educate and inform you. So, our goal really is to make you a wiser consumer, and that's what we plan on doing through the podcast. So, if you haven't already, download the RE Radio Live app or subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher, and that way you can listen to the podcast anywhere and anytime at your convenience. So starting November 9th, that's the way we're going to go. And, my actual last show, so as you guys know, I'm on Mondays, and so this is my second to last live show on the radio, so I'm happy to have Scott on. And then next Monday is Halloween, and I have Tim Denner, the termite guy, on, so we're going to talk about some scary termite stories, I guess, and wrap up the live show. So that's what we got going on. All right, Scott, how's it going?
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear, though, that the live show's going away, but the podcasting seems to be the wave of the future. Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's where it's going, so we're super excited about it, and all that good stuff.
I feel very grateful that you had me in your last
there you go.
Your last month.
Of course.
That's awesome.
I'm happy to. So, all right, why don't you give us a little bit of your background and experience, and for those people that haven't heard you on the show before.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I feel like a veteran these days, but it has been since the early 90s when I started in real estate. And I started in the early 90s with a small development company, and we did a lot of fixer-uppers. We did a lot of custom homes and then small subdivisions. I did that for about 10 years. It's been really, really helpful to me in understanding building costs kind of with my clients and what can and can't be done. In 2000, I did that for about 10 years, 12 years, and then I shifted into selling residential property in 2005, almost exclusively. In the development company, I was doing the sales and marketing for the company, all the finance, all the finishes, working with the architects, but then I shifted into selling residential property for many, many years, and about 7 years ago, I kind of moved into investment property in addition to the residential property. So some commercial, some residential, but kind of I feel like I've got a lot of experience now.
You got a lot of experience in many different facets of real estate. So talking about residential and versus commercial, we've talked on the show before about what's going on in the market. So I want to get your spin on where that all stands right now.
Okay. Well, I focus on these three counties, San Mateo County, Santa Clara County, and Santa Cruz County. Mm-hmm. And I do focus on residential property and multi-unit property. We definitely are seeing a shift, I believe. And, you and I as real estate agents can just have an open dialogue about this. But I also run something at Keller Williams called the Top Talent Mastermind.
Yeah.
And once a month, the top agents in the company get together to share insights. We have guest speakers. Last month, we had the shifting market as the subject matter. We had about 30 agents there, all the top producers in Keller Williams, and it was a very, very interesting dialogue. These are the people that are doing the most transactions, the most volume, have the most clients, and, across the board, everybody is seeing a shift in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Even in the hottest markets there are. And we see that in investment as well as residential, but really right now we're talking about residential.
Yeah.
And what do we see? We don't see a softening, like a full softening of the market, but a stabilization of the market.
Yeah.
If not, a slight decrease in 2017. So across the board, that's what people are seeing. I was just mentioning to you that I have a lot of buyers right now, and they're just very, I won't even say cautious, but they're very contemplative. They're not very motivated. They're not aggressive in their offer strategy. They're really sitting on a fence more than I can remember.
Do you think they feel like they don't have to be now? Is that what you attribute that to?
That's exactly what I attribute it to. Yeah. It's not like we have a ton more inventory. We do have more than we had 3-4 months ago. But we don't have a ton more.
Yeah.
And I just think they feel like they can be pickier. I think that something comes on the market and they don't feel like it's going to go away in the next 72 hours.
Yeah, right.
And they're willing to kind of sit back and wait a few weeks even to see if that property that they kind of like is still there. And if it is, it almost deters them.
Yeah, no, I know. Crazy. Well, but in my opinion, that it's the normalcy. I think the market's normalizing, if that's even a word. But
it is a word.
I think it's becoming more normal. I think it's healthy for that to happen. We couldn't see this double-digit appreciation forever. Right. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And I think we're going to see it a little bit more and we're going to talk about it today as the interest rates rise a little bit, which is, I guess you could say, inevitable at some point.
Well, that was kind of the takeaway from all the agents is that we are kind of happy about this.
Yeah.
It needs to cool down. Mm-hmm. This affordability is no joke now in the Bay Area. And I think this just has to happen. And nobody sees any kind of calamity and huge drop in pricing like we saw in 2008, 2009. Nobody's projecting that. Nobody feels like that's going to happen. The variables that drove us into that situation are not present today.
Yeah. Well, mainly because money's harder to get. Financing's harder to get. So, okay. What about because you do Santa Cruz County a lot more than I do. Mm-hmm. So you know that market very well. And so talk about that a little bit because it is different over there.
It sure is.
So talk about Santa Cruz versus Santa Clara, San Mateo, Alameda.
Yeah, so Santa Cruz is an interesting market. It tends to be about 6 months behind what's happening in Santa Clara County, as an example.
Yeah.
And in that respect, it's still pretty hot over there.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that it's not in certain markets in Santa Clara County and certainly the peninsula. I've done more work in the peninsula this year than I've done in a few years, and it seems to always be hot for good reason. But in Santa Cruz, that shift hasn't really happened as much unless you get into the Santa Cruz mountains, where it definitely is. It's almost like it's coming over the hill.
Yeah.
From Silicon Valley into Santa Cruz, but. I think it's right behind it. I think prices are at an all-time high over in Santa Cruz. The way I see Santa Cruz, though, I do see it differently because Santa Cruz is a vacation rental market as well as just a general population market. And I think coastal property is an excellent buy anytime moving forward.
You work a lot with those, right? You want to talk about that a little bit, or
sure? vacation rentals.
Yeah, vacation
or
rentals.
Investor
and,
second homes.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit, too.
Yeah, I just have a general opinion about Santa Cruz coastal property over the next 15, 20 years. And that is that I think it's got a higher probability of appreciation than just about anywhere else in the Bay Area over the next 15, 20. And I'll wrap it up really easily.
Yeah.
Is that I think there are a lot of baby boomers that are going to be retiring from the Valley here in the next 20 years, over the next 20 years. And I do think there's going to be a tremendous amount of liquidation of wealth. And those people are going to want to do something with that money.
Right.
And to have a second home or even a first home that has a view of the ocean or foot in the sand, anything within a couple of blocks of the ocean, I think it has a real good chance of appreciating more than other markets, micro markets, over the next 10, 15, 20 years. So if now you have the resources to buy over there and to rent something as a vacation rental or even a monthly rental with your eye on the idea that you're going to eventually move over there, I think it's a good, safe, solid bet.
Interesting. So we're talking anywhere up from Santa Cruz, Aptos, Monterey, all those areas are basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, Carmel Valley, Monterey. I don't know those markets like I do Santa Cruz, but I do think that, everything that jump over the hill, while a lot of people complain about it, I do it every day, and it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And for, if you have a home in Saratoga or San Carlos or Los Gatos or Almaden Valley, and that's where you've been for 20, 30, 40 years, and you want to spend time at the coast, you're really there within, 40, 45 minutes at the most. And I think it's a natural for that to evolve.
Very good. All right, we just got another minute and a half, but let's go back real quick to the your top talent mastermind group. Anything else that came out of that in a minute that you wanted to wrap up with that?
Well, one of the really interesting things for realtors is that we're just not seeing. We're really not seeing as much move-up buyers. What we're seeing is a lot more retirees and people leaving the area.
Going out of the area.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's not a big portion of my listings, frankly.
Yeah.
But I was surprised to see our highest producers. They were saying like 60, 70% of their business comes from those two areas.
Wow. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
They're getting out of Dodge.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got to take a quick break. Scott Poncetta with the Poncetta Real Estate Group at Keller Williams is in studio today. If you have any questions for Scott or myself, give us a buzz, 1-800-516-1220, or you can text in to 408-630-0101. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. This is Real Estate Radio Live. We'll be right back.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on Real Estate Radio Live, KDOW 1220 AM. And we have Scott Poncetta with the Poncetta Real Estate Group at Keller Williams, investment and residential property specialist. Love to hear from you guys. If you have any questions, 1-800-516-1220, or you can text in to 408-630-0101. And this segment's brought to you by Giorgio's Italian Food and Pizzeria and Frankie, Johnny, and Luigi's too. The best Italian food around with 4 convenient locations throughout the Bay Area to serve you. You can go to Giorgio's and FJLItalian.com for more information on their famous happy hour specials. All right, Scott, so let's get back into, we talked a lot about the market, different markets on the previous segment. We briefly touched on the change in interest rate and what that's going to mean to the market and to buying in general. So talk about your thoughts and opinions on where all that's going and what it's looking like.
Yeah, well, Mike, we've both been doing this a long time, and we've been predicting this change in interest rates or this increase in interest rates for literally probably 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
It's been a while,
But there's a real consensus and a push that it's actually going to happen before this year's end. And, it's going to be real interesting to see how that affects the market.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, I mean, if they rise, it's going to affect purchasing power of people buying. That's the main thing, right?
I think it's one of the main things, that people say that you live in your payment, not as much in
price.
Yeah. Not in your price, but in your payment. And, it will have a function of limiting your purchase power. There's no question about that. And part of what, with these buyers that we've been talking about that are just kind of complacent, not super motivated, the power of a point or the power of a half point, I think is going to become a real relevant factor. In terms of purchase power and in terms of payment, and I think that there's going to be a general awakening. I think whenever the interest rate changes significantly, and what I mean by that is anything more than a quarter point, I think at first you have a little bit of shock to the system. There's certain people that not too much happens, but then the sellers kind of feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to miss out on the top of the market. Sorry, I believe you already did. And then the buyers start to figure out, well, my new payment doesn't look as good for the same purchase price. And wow, maybe that might be the motivator that actually gets me off that fence. One way or another, I think that there'll be a stagnation, and then it will have the ultimate effect of generating more transactions because of it.
Well, and frankly, we need more transactions happening.
Amen.
I mean, well, especially for one of the big, and talking a little bit on the realtor talk, one of the big things that Joel Singer said, he's the CEO of CAR, California Association of Realtors, and more people are entering the business, but there's less transactions happening. There's less real estate being bought and sold. So from our business side of things, it's harder to get business and make a living. Right. But looking at that from the consumer standpoint, there's just not as many there's just not as much stuff happening.
That's right.
So that's going to be interesting to see what happens if it gets more stagnant.
What's interesting about that is that, yes, there are fewer transactions than I don't know, I'm not going to say in history, but in many, many years.
A long time, yeah.
And at the same time, at least the top producers that I'm working around are all having their best year ever, including myself. Yeah. So I think that there's becoming a larger and larger division between the really good realtors and the average realtors, and then the people that are just trying to get into it. Yeah. I just think more than ever, and the market that I think we're going into over the next couple of years, the savviness or the experience and, the professionalism of the real estate agent that you choose is going to matter more than it has over the last several years. Absolutely.
I mean, I think we could do a whole show on that, on that alone. I think it's going to be huge because there is a big divide in this business is the full service real estate agent, that has the connections, that has the market knowledge, that has the transactional background. And then there's going to be the discount online, those types of people. Yep. And so there's going to be this huge division. I couldn't agree with everything you said on that. But all right, well, we got to take another quick break. Scott Poncetta with the Poncetta Real Estate Group at Keller Williams is in studio today. We're talking investment and residential, all sorts of good stuff. If you got any questions for Scott, 1-800-516-1220. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. This is Real Estate Radio Live. Stick around. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back in. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on Real Estate Radio Live, KDOW 1220 AM. Scott Poncetta with the Poncetta Real Estate Group at Keller Williams is in studio today. If you got any questions, give us a buzz, 1-800-516-1220. And this segment is brought to you by Starburst Construction. They've been serving the Silicon Valley for over 40 years. They are dedicated to building award-winning homes that last a lifetime. You can visit them today at starburstconstruction.com. All right, Scott. So let's talk a little bit about this is a quick segment, and then we'll get into the 1031 maybe on the next one. But let's talk about granny units, secondary units, auxiliary units.
Okay.
All those.
You know
units.
what's interesting is that to me, this is something that I used to really specialize in and do a lot of business in. I still do homes that have granny units. This is kind of a segment that's, I would say, is geared a little bit more to our younger buyers.
Yeah.
And it really addresses the issue of affordability, which is the biggest problem right now. Well, the only way that I was able to buy my first home is to buy a home that had a second unit on it. Mm-hmm. So if you think about a duplex, that's the easiest way and the most logical way that people go about thinking about it. But I actually like a single-family home that has a second unit on it more. We don't have time to get into all the reasons.
Yeah.
But if you are considering buying your first home and you're just feeling a little pushed out of the market, it's something that I really, really strongly suggest that you could take a look at.
Yeah.
And the only reason I could do that back in 2000 was when I bought my first house, was because I had somebody really contributing to my housing expenses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Significantly.
Subsidizing your mortgage.
Subsidize your mortgage. Yeah. I have a little website called that.
There you go.
And, you know, in that time, I think my overall costs on the house were $3,000 out the door, tax, insurance, everything. And out of the gate, I had somebody paying $1,500 a month of my mortgage.
Yeah.
Now, I still work with people all the time that are looking for those kinds of deals, and they still exist today. We do have shorter inventory than we've had in the past, but they still are out there. And as inventory starts to open up, as we both suspect is going to happen, there will be more and more of those. And it's just something that I just think is kind of a common sense first-time buyer home strategy.
Well, and I'm hoping, too, word on the street is, especially in San Jose and areas that have such a high cost of living, and I've been reading some articles, is that they're going to make it a little bit easier to build secondary units, granny units, to help with the affordability crisis. It is a crisis.
It is a crisis.
So I'm hoping the cities get smart and ease the restrictions on that, because there is a lot of stuff you have to go through to build one of those, right?
Yes.
So
I'm doing a project right now. I just sold a development project in downtown or close to downtown Santa Cruz, and it's amazing how good the city has been about helping us to get it done, because there's some low-cost element to it, low-cost housing element to it.
Right.
And they need the housing so badly that they're really trying to push to help us get more units and help us get more lower-income housing. These are apartment units, but we're seeing a shift in terms of the way the cities are working with the developers to try and make these things happen.
That's good. It sounds like Santa Cruz is getting it before some other places. Yeah. So there you go. Santa Cruz being progressive. I like it. All right, well, we got to take a quick break. We're going to talk about something you may have never even heard of, a 1031 exchange for a primary residence. So let's get into that on the other side. Really interesting stuff. Scott Poncetta with the Poncetta Real Estate Group from Keller Williams is in studio today. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. This is Real Estate Radio Live. Give us a buzz, 1-800-516-1220. Stick around. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back in. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on Real Estate Radio Live, KDOW 1220 AM. Scott Poncetta with the Poncetta Real Estate Group at Keller Williams is in studio today. All sorts of good information on today. If you got any questions, now's the time to get it in, 1-800-516-1220. And this segment's brought to you by Taps Termite. They've been serving the Bay Area for over 45 years. Taps Termite is committed to keeping your living area pest-free by using the newest and safest technology. You can call Taps today for a complimentary inspection. That's 408-259-5900. And Tim from Taps is going to be on next Monday for my last live show. And we're going to be talking all sorts of scary stuff with termites on Halloween. So that ought to be fun. Okay, so let's get back into the show. Scott, we're going to talk about, so we've had 1031 exchange guys on, the show, both Joe and myself. And so now, we're going to you're taking a different spin on this. So maybe briefly touch on what a 1031 exchange is for investment, and then why is this such an interesting thing for primary?
Sure. Okay, so the 1031 exchange vehicle allows you to take investment property and sell it without paying any capital gains. But you have to invest that money in something of equal to or greater value than the thing you sold. So that's a real simple definition of a 1031, but let's say you bought something for $500,000 and you sell it for $2 million. There's $1.5 million without some complexities in there. But real simply, you can take that you can sell it for $2 million, and instead of paying tax on that $1.5 million, you move it into something else.
Right.
So you continually kind of buy up into, it's really a vehicle to improve your real estate position over time.
Absolutely.
So, but forever and ever, it's really only been seen as an investment property, a vehicle for investment property, which it still really is. But we have become a little bit more creative in this in recent months, years, about how to make this happen for primary residences.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a super secret, but as we continue to, you've got all these people in the Bay Area where our homes have just gone up so much over time. My parents bought their house in Cupertino for $76,000 and sold it for $1.8 million 6 years ago. Now, I'm going to use a real tangible example for a woman that I just sold a house for and helped her buy investment property using this vehicle. Well, she came to me a couple of years ago. She has a house in Saratoga and says, I need to sell this house. It's worth $2 million. She bought it for $148,000. Said, oh my gosh, when we showed her what she was going to pay in tax when she sold that house, she was a widow, so she was going to be able to take a $250,000 exemption, but she was going to see a capital gain of like $1.7 million and probably pay close to 50% on that.
Yeah, which is
so I said,
not
well,
fun.
Let's do this, and she was going to move into a senior facility. So I said, why don't we do this? We move you into the senior facility, we rent your house for 2 years, and then after 2 years, then it will become investment property. We can sell it, and then you will be able to shift the gain. We'll buy you stuff after we sell your house. So this is exactly what we just finished doing. Sold her house for $2.4 million. She paid $148,000. So she was going to pay taxes on that if she didn't 1031 out of $700,000.
Yeah.
There's so many people in the Bay Area right now. So I'm really, this strategy is really speaking to people that have been in their home for 30, 40 years. It's not that you haven't, if you've been in it for 15, you probably still are going to do well and you could use this strategy. But if you've been in your house for 30, 40 years and you live anywhere in the Bay Area, certain markets have appreciated more than others, but people come to me all the time saying, I would move, but there's no way I'm paying that big a number to the government.
Yeah, so I guess the key part to that strategy, though, is if, like in this case, she went to assisted living, senior living, or if they're going to move out of the area, they got to be able to afford something additionally, without selling the current property.
That's true.
Which
that can be a challenge.
But also, if they're moving to Oregon or somewhere, I mean, if they've done well over time, I bet most people could probably make it happen if they buy a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 retirement property and then hold this for 2 years and rent it and then you know?
Well, you're hitting on something that's really super salient, and that is that it's frankly smarter to do this before you retire than when you're retired.
Yeah.
Because you can go and buy something else right at the same time, and you still have an income with which to qualify your new debt. So if you're finished, though, and you're retiring, you know, unless you have a huge stock portfolio that's paying big dividends or some other significant income stream, it's going to be very hard for you to qualify for a loan. So, you know, that strategy kind of goes away for some people without those extra resources. So it's just really what it means is that the sooner you get to talk to an advisor, a good real estate advisor, tax advisor, real estate agent that knows what they're doing, if you're even getting close to this situation, the sooner the better.
Yeah,
you know, just sit down and say, here's my next 10 years. Let's map it out. When's going to be the smartest time to do this? How do I save the most money? Because for her, in this situation, we were able to buy her stuff that generated over $12,000 a month.
Wow.
So, I'm sorry, $12,000 a month that helped pay all of her expenses, all of her health care costs, all of her senior facility costs. Let's see, I mean, she put a little bit more into it on top of that, but she came
for
up.
the most part,
we
that's
bought
great.
properties.
I'm sure she's ecstatic too. I mean,
she is.
You
She's
know?
very, you know, it was sad to sell her the house. She
of course,
raised her kids in, and that's the kind of the diversion or one of the obstacles we come up against is one, I've been in this house for so long, I don't really want to rent it, you know, and for somebody to take a step down and rent something else or buy something else that's significantly, you know, maybe not as nice a neighborhood, maybe a lot smaller. For some people, that's great. For other people, that's a real tough thing to get their arms around. So the sooner you start to get your arms around it, the better.
But think about this. If you do, you know, she avoided $700,000 in taxes, right? I mean, you're basically, for someone to do that, if let's say they're renting something out, you know, you're making $350,000 a year by doing that. It's almost like, you know, it's a pretty high-paying job, right?
It really is.
So.
And if you buy something that appreciates the way we've seen it historically, at about 9% per year, you can just do the numbers on that. That's, you know, that was $700,000. And when you say she avoided it, she didn't.
Yeah,
she
deferred it.
She deferred it.
Yeah, I know.
So, you know, but that $700,000 that's working for her every year until she decides to liquidate.
Definitely.
You know, and that can be a long period of time.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we got to take a quick break, and we're going to wrap up the show on the other side. Scott Poncetta with the Poncetta Real Estate Group at Keller Williams is in studio today. Lots of great, good stuff today. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. This is Real Estate Radio Live. We'll be right back.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on Real Estate Radio Live, KDOW 1220 AM. We've had the pleasure of having Scott Poncetta with the Poncetta Real Estate Group at Keller Williams today, talking all sorts of good stuff on investment and residential property and different strategies, and really appreciate having Scott on. And it's the second to last live show for myself, so it's been good to have him here, longtime friend and coworker. So let's just wrap up. You know, you said something on the last segment that really struck a chord with me, and you and I do business very similar, is setting out a plan and working with someone that's not, you know, working with a real estate professional or professional in any aspect of your investments that's not looking for the quick sale. So talk about that in a minute or two, and then we'll get going here. Yeah,
sure. You know, I think the best time to plan for your real estate future is when you don't think you have to. You know, to sit down with somebody like Mike. Mike's a great real estate agent, super honest human being, and somebody you would want to work with for years to come. I can tell you that.
Likewise. Thank you.
And, you know, just to give Mike call a person like that, a real estate agent that's got real deep experience, that knows what they're doing, to just sit down with them when you're not under the gun, when you don't feel like you have to do something, when you're not feeling pressured, just to sit down and say, here are my goals. Here's what I have in assets. Here are my real estate assets. Here are my other assets. And just sit down and map out a future. You know, there's a lot of historical data to say we can somewhat predict where things are going to go in the long run. You know, when I have clients that come to me and they say that they're going to change something over the next 2 years, it's a really difficult situation for me. When I know people are going to be at this 10, 20 years, then it's real easy for me to help guide you and really map out how do we build wealth for you through real estate.
Absolutely.
You know?
Great stuff, Scott. So people can reach out to you, and thanks for the kind words, but I couldn't agree more on yourself as well, the same way, and we do business very similarly. So why don't you give out your information, website, email, phone number, so people can contact you.
Yeah, my phone number is 408-757-1007. It's 408-757-1007, and it's the PoncettaRealEstateGroup.com. PoncettaRealEstate.com will work too, and my name's spelled Poncetta.
All right, Scott, thanks a lot for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, so you've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. For more information on everything real estate related or Real Estate Radio Live related, you can go to MikeDsells.com. That's MikeDsells.com. We'll be doing my last live show next Monday on Halloween, and we're going to start podcasting after that. So appreciate all your support. Take care, everybody.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Tune in, log in, download our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com. RERadiolive.com.